Have you ever felt like you were, I don't know, born to be a glamorous sun hat, but the universe somehow, inexplicably, turned you into a pair of underpants?
That is quite the visual to start with.
Right. But you know the exact feeling. I mean, you are looking at someone else basking in the sunlight, traveling the world, living their absolute best life, and you are just stuck in the dark, doing the unglamorous grunt work, wondering where the cosmic sorting hat made a massive mistake.
Yeah, the classic why them and not me syndrome.
Exactly. So, welcome to the deep dive. Today we are unpacking a fascinating and honestly deeply challenging perspective on that exact feeling.
It really is.
It's drawn from a 2021 essay by Feng, and it's titled Misconceptions About the Origin of Life Response to Diki, a Celestial Question.
Quite a mouthful, but the content is wild.
Oh, it really is. Our mission today is to explore this concept of cosmic fairness, like why the universe often feels totally rigged against us, and why we might be the absolute only creatures on the planet who actually care.
It's a profound place to start simply because that feeling of injustice is, the baseline of the human condition.
Yeah.
And the text we're diving into uses some highly entertaining, borderline absurd analogies to dismantle this human grievance.
Like I love.
Right. It takes that burning sense of unfairness you might feel on a Tuesday morning commute and just places it against the backdrop of the entire cosmos.
Yeah.
It forces us to look at how unique and perhaps how artificial our perspective really is.
So if you're listening to this right now, maybe you're scrolling through social media or sitting in a cubicle, and you catch yourself thinking, why does that person have it so easy while I'm grinding away? Well, this material is going to challenge how you view that exact moment.
Absolutely.
Because the fundamental premise of Feng's text does not pull any punches. It basically states that right at the inception of creation, life was stratified.
Yes, explicitly stratified.
Right. Some beings were fashioned as advanced life forms, and others were shaped as low-level life forms. And the kicker is that the low-level life forms were strictly meant to serve the advanced ones.
Which is a tough pill to swallow.
It really is.
Yeah.
It immediately forces the question, like, why am I struggling down here while someone else gets to coast?
And that tension is exactly what the author wants to address. But to understand why we feel life is so fundamentally unfair, we have to temporarily strip away our human narratives.
Like, leave our ego at the door.
Exactly. We have to look at how nature operates without our psychological baggage projected all over it. And the author does this by dropping us straight into the wild with some incredibly vivid animal analogies.
Yeah, the text paints these pictures. They're almost darkly comedic in their bluntness.
They really are.
First, we have a little chick is happily playing in the grass, pecking around, having a perfectly pleasant day. And then, swoop, gone. It is instantly snatched away by an eagle for dinner.
Yeah.
Or there's another scene where a group of little bunnies are playing hide and seek, like something out of a classic animated movie.
8-year-old Disney movie, yeah.
And out of nowhere, a wolf charges in, bites one to death, and just devours it on the spot.
And you have pure innocence and playfulness instantly obliterated by brute biological necessity.
Right.
And the immediate knee-jerk human reaction is to view that through a lens of justice. Yeah. We look at the rabbit and say, well, that is a tragedy. That is not fair.
Okay, let's unpack this because the author leans into that human reaction hilariously. The text specifically points out the absurdity of assigning blame here.
Yes.
The author writes that the chick neither, quote, flirted with the eagle's mate, nor snatched the eagle's sister-in-law.
Which is such a funny way to put it.
It's amazing. And the rabbit didn't disturb the wolf's ancestral graves or push a wolf cub off a cliff. I mean, it is brilliant.
And really highlights the gap in our logic.
Right. To put it in modern terms, it's the equivalent of getting fired and losing your pension because of a massive, catastrophic mistake made at a company you don't even work for.
Right.
There is zero causal link between your personal behavior and the terrible thing that just happened to you.
What's fascinating here is how the author uses those specific, highly anthropomorphized scenarios, stealing a mate, desecrating ancestral graves, to expose a massive flaw in our cognitive processing. When we demand fairness, what we are actually implying is a moral transaction. Human beings operate on an underlying psychological framework that's often called the just world hypothesis.
Right, the idea that you get what you deserve.
Exactly. We assume there is a cosmic ledger. We think if I do no harm, then no harm should come to me. Or if I work hard and play by the rules, I will be rewarded.
Right.
We project this transactional logic onto everything around us.
We want the universe to act like a vending machine.
Okay.
Put in good deeds, get a good life out.
Precisely. But the text is pointing out that nature does not have a ledger. It just doesn't operate on human morality or transactional logic.
Yeah.
The eagle doesn't eat the chick because the chick committed a sin or had bad karma. The eagle eats the chick because the eagle's biology requires caloric sustenance to continue functioning.
It's just calories to the eagle.
Yes, it is a deterministic imperative completely stripped of moral weight. Fairness implies a judge, but nature is just an engine.
See, I can wrap my head around that when we are talking about different species. Like, the food chain is the food chain.
Right.
A wolf and a rabbit are fundamentally different beasts with different biological roles. But I don't think we can let the text off the hook that easily.
Why not?
Because it doesn't stop at animals. It moves from the biological food chain into artificial human creation. And this is where it gets incredibly uncomfortable.
Oh, the underpants.
Yes. It's one thing to accept systemic inequality across different species. But what happens when two things start from the exact same raw material?
This is where the philosophy of the text becomes much more provocative. It challenges the concept of equality at its very origin point.
So let's talk about the cloth analogy, because this is the core of the dilemma.
Go for it.
The text describes a scenario where a person buys a single piece of cloth. They cut it into two identical pieces. With one half, they make a hat.
Okay.
That hat gets placed on a head. It gets to bask in the brilliant sunshine. It travels around, enjoying the wonders of the world, feeling the breeze.
Glamorous life.
A best life. But the other half of that exact same piece of fabric, it gets made into underpants.
Yep.
It is trapped in the dark, wrapped in trousers, unable to see anything, and its only experience is smelling the foul odor from behind.
It's a rough deal.
And the text notes that the underpants cloth grumbles, complaining, "I was born on the same day as the piece used for the hat."
It is a crude metaphor, but it is a highly effective way of illustrating structural inequality.
Wait a minute, though. I have to push back here on behalf of anyone listening who feels like they are the underpants in this scenario.
Yeah. Fair enough.
If I am the underpants cloth, don't I have every right to be furious?
Yeah.
We started as the exact same fabric. We were literally cut from the same cloth.
Physically identical, yes.
So why should I just passively accept a smelly, dark, unappreciated fate when I had the exact same starting point and potential as the hat?
Oh.
I mean, this almost sounds like a highly convenient philosophy for whoever is currently wearing the sun hat. It sounds like a philosophical justification designed to keep the underpants from unionizing.
I get that reaction. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, we are hitting the central and perhaps most difficult thesis of Xufeng's work.
Okay, lay it on me.
The text explicitly states that low-level life supports and sustains high-level life. In this view, that is not a flaw in the system, that is the system.
Wow, okay.
It is the program and the mission inherent in life. The cloth didn't get a choice because the cloth is not the designer. It is part of a larger architecture serving a specific necessary function.
Right.
The hat protects the head from the sun, and the underpants serve their own critical hygienic function.
I mean, it is a highly critical function, but nobody is throwing a parade for the underpants. They get zero prestige.
And that is exactly your human ego talking. You are assigning prestige to the hat and shame to the underpants.
I mean, naturally.
Right. But to the tailor who made them, they are both simply fulfilling the utility they were designed for. The universe, according to this text, requires both the advanced and the low level to function.
Okay, I see.
Think of it like computer architecture. You have the beautiful user interface that everyone interacts with and praises, and then you have the back-end server code that runs in the dark, constantly managing data.
Yeah, nobody thinks about the server farm until it breaks.
Exactly. The back-end doesn't get the glory, but without it, the whole system crashes. The tragedy here only exists because we, unlike the cloth, possess the consciousness to compare our utility to someone else's. We care about the prestige. The system only cares about the function.
That brings up a massive question, though. If we are all just pieces of fabric cut to execute a specific program where the lower back end serves the higher interface, who is the tailor? Who wrote this program, and why on earth did they write it to include so much disparity?
The text provides an origin story for this, and it is remarkably devoid of the solemn reverence you typically find in creation narratives. Usually, origin myths frame the universe as a grand moral testing ground.
Devoid of reverence is an understatement. The text actually says that the greatest creator was born by chance.
Literally just chant.
Just boom, chance. Nothing about a grand, purposeful design at the very beginning. And then this creator finds infinite joy in creation. So the creator makes gods and celestials.
Right.
But apparently gods and celestials are boring. They were too perfect, maybe not entertaining enough. So to spice things up and have more fun, the creator makes humans, animals, and plants.
Yeah.
It essentially suggests we were created for cosmic entertainment to add variety to a boring universe.
It is a striking paradigm shift. It completely removes the idea that human beings are the solemn, ultimate purpose of the universe.
We're just a novelty act?
Exactly. It frames our existence as the result of a creative experiment born out of the creator's desire for joy and complexity.
Right.
But the crucial detail the author includes about this initial state of creation is that at the beginning, nothing knew sorrow. Nothing knew unfairness.
It's just a blank slate of function.
Yes,
Yeah.
everything just instinctively executed the duties bestowed by the creator. The suffering only began later.
Here's where it gets really interesting. To illustrate this lack of sorrow, the author proposes this brilliant thought experiment.
The rabbit interview.
Yes? Imagine you could stick a microphone in front of a rabbit and interview it. You ask the rabbit, "Hey, do you harbor resentment towards the wolf? Don't you think the creator is completely unfair for making wolves specifically to eat you?"
And the rabbit's response?
The text points out that the rabbit wouldn't even understand the premise of the question. The rabbit would ask, "What is hatred?"
Because the rabbit doesn't have a conceptual framework for cosmic injustice. It has a framework for evasion and survival, but not for existential resentment.
The text literally says that if you tried to explain this concept to the rabbits, they would think anyone calling the greatest creator unfair must have their brainwaves short-circuited.
That's a great phrase.
Right. A rabbit hops, eats grass, and tries its best not to get eaten. It doesn't sit in its burrow, having a midlife crisis about its place in the food chain compared to the eagle.
No.
It doesn't feel humiliated by its position.
And that highlights the most profound psychological mechanism in the entire text. Sorrow, resentment, and the very concept of unfairness are not inherent physical properties of the universe.
Right, you can't touch them.
Exactly. You cannot measure unfairness with a thermometer or a scale. Unfairness requires a highly advanced, specific cognitive mechanism, the capacity for comparison.
Yeah.
The animals do not suffer from existential dread because they just execute their bestowed duties without comparing their fate to the fate of the creature next to them.
They don't have the hardware to simulate an alternate reality.
Exactly. Suffering in this context is the gap between reality and expectations. To feel that something is unfair, you have to be able to look at what is, mentally simulate a reality of what could be, and then feel anger at the discrepancy between the two.
That makes a lot of sense.
A rock doesn't wish it was a tree. The underpants wouldn't care they were underpants if they couldn't perceive the hat. They're entirely present in their function.
Which means if the animals aren't doing it and the plants aren't doing it and the inanimate objects certainly aren't doing it, that leaves exactly one species in the entire known universe that actively tortures itself with comparison.
Us.
Us. We are the only ones holding the ledger.
The text strategically narrows its focus to make exactly this point. We started with the inception of the cosmos, moved to the wild animal kingdom, looked at the artificial creation of inanimate objects, and finally...
And finally, it gets personal.
Exactly. The author brings the lens right down into a human living room to show us how absurd our ledger really is.
Yeah, the analogy of the sibling rivalry, this one hits incredibly close to home for anyone with siblings.
Oh, for sure.
The text describes a second child who is absolutely furious. He goes to his father and demands to know why he always has to call his older brother elder brother, and why the older brother doesn't have to call him that.
It's all about perceived status.
Yes, a perceived lack of respect. And the dad gives the most obvious, logical answer possible. He says, because he was born before you.
Just a fact.
Right. And the second child just explodes. He yells, "Why wasn't I born first? Mom and Dad are unjust."
It captures something so fundamental and almost embarrassing about human nature.
Because it shows that we aren't just mad about the physical hand we are dealt in life. We are actually mad at the literal flow of time. We are mad at chronology itself.
Yes.
We are furious at the sheer, unadulterated randomness of the universe. The second child is demanding justice for the sequence of his own birth, which is something completely outside of his moral control, his parents' control, or anyone's control. He is raging against a timeline.
This raises an important question, and it synthesizes the final point of Shifeng's source text.
What's that?
The author concludes by stating, quote, "Besides humans, other life forms never consider the notions of fairness or unfairness, simply following their nature.
Right.
When we look at the second child screaming about his birth order, we see the ultimate futility of our human obsession with fairness. We are constantly raging against the unalterable conditions of our own existence.
That's true.
We waste staggering amounts of psychological energy asking, why not me? Or
Yep.
why wasn't I born first? Or why did I get assigned the role of the underpants? Instead of simply executing the program of our lives.
It is exhausting. Think about the amount of mental process and power we burn every single day, just maintaining our ledger of grievances. We are constantly auditing the universe and finding it lacking.
The text invites us to consider how much peace we might find if we stopped demanding that the universe conform to our human ledger. If we accepted our function within the broader, infinitely complex system that sustains everything, we might drop that burden. The second child will never be the first child. The underpants will never be the hat.
Right.
The suffering doesn't come from the role. The suffering comes from the refusal to accept the role.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now?
Yeah.
We have covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about cosmic origins born of chance, devoured chicks, angry underpants, and furious toddlers.
A very normal Tuesday.
Exactly. The true distillation of all this source material comes down to a radical shift in perspective. The next time you are sitting in a meeting or stuck in traffic looking at a nicer car next to you, feeling like the universe has unfairly designated you as the underpants while someone else effortlessly gets to be the sun hat, I want you to remember the rabbit.
That's a great takeaway.
Your frustration, that heavy sinking feeling in your chest, is a byproduct of human comparison. It is not a law of physics. The universe isn't actively plotting against you. It is just an engine operating as designed. Your distress is coming from the fact that you are staring at the hat instead of just wearing your own fabric.
That is a very grounded way to synthesize the text's primary message regarding cosmic utility and human ego. But I want to leave you with a final, perhaps slightly provocative thought to mull over something that builds on the text but flips the perspective entirely.
Oh, I'm ready. Let's hear it.
We have spent this deep dive establishing the author's view that low-level life serves high-level life, that comparison is the root of our sorrow, and that humans are the only ones complaining while the rest of creation operates in perfect, unquestioning harmony.
Yep. The text suggests that our brainwaves are short-circuited when we demand fairness from the Creator.
Exactly. We are basically glitching out by refusing to accept our deterministic programming.
Okay, so how do we flip that?
Let's look at that from another angle. What if this burden of comparison isn't a glitch at all?
Wait, really?
What if this agonizing, uniquely human ability to look up at the heavens, observe the disparity of the world, and scream into the void, that's not fair, is actually the very mechanism of our evolution?
Oh, wow.
Right. The animals accept the food chain unconditionally, and because of that, they remain in it forever. They don't change their circumstances.
That's completely true.
But humans look at the cold in different systems of nature, and we demand justice. We invent medicine because getting sick and dying young isn't fair.
Right.
We build shelters and harness electricity because freezing in the elements isn't fair. We create complex laws, philosophies, and societies to impose a moral ledger onto a universe that clearly doesn't have one naturally.
It's like we are building the fairness ourselves.
Yes. So what if the very act of questioning the creator's design, the very refusal to just be the underpants without a fight, is exactly what makes humans the advanced life forms in the first place?
I absolutely love that. The complaint itself is the proof of our advancement. Our inability to accept the way things are is the engine that drives us to make things better. That is an incredible thought to carry forward. We are wrapping up this deep dive, but the conversation doesn't have to end here in your own mind. Keep questioning the systems around you. Keep examining the ledgers you are holding on to, and maybe give yourself a little bit of grace the next time you feel slighted by the universe.
Because whether you feel destined for the sunshine or you are currently stuck doing the heavy lifting in the dark, you are part of a massive, infinitely complex fabric.
Thanks for joining us, and until next time, try not to let the sun hats get you down.